Good morning, Steeman. It's Episcopo Squirrel here, also known as Mage, here to do another Dab with the Mage. You ready for a good wake and bake? That's a good morning. I get a little bit more time in the mornings on Tuesdays, a lot more time in the morning on Thursdays. But now you can see the sun is up, so you can see my rig a little bit better. So here's the sleep pattern. Yeah. Anyway, how's everyone doing this morning? I hope well. I began to get a lot better sleep using my CPAP machine recently. Been getting nearly 4 hours and more each night using the machine now. That's a lot of sleep for me. I don't get that much sleep normally. So life's been really good, and I got school going on, and I got done with my first day of school yesterday. I had chemistry and math 111. Chemistry is going to be incredibly awesome. It's going to be super easy. As far as math goes, I think I'll do well. It's just going to be really difficult. My teacher is not an easy teacher. He's an easy teacher in that he's an easy teacher, but it seems like he has a lot of work assigned. And so I just got to make sure I keep up on that, and I'll be good. But, yeah, so today I'd like to talk to you guys about a little bit of alchemy. But first, cheers. So, within alchemy, there are different steps, obviously, for achieving different end results. And all these end results tie into each other at the end and are recombined to create a purified and closer to the divine substance, an entity that has been refined so much that it resembles the divine, the realm of the divine. And so one of these processes is called calcination. And depending on how you look at it, it can be further within the process, or it can be one of the first steps. But it's all perspective and how you view time, and whether you view it linearly or cyclically. And anyway, so calcination. It's an extremely important step. What this process does is it takes the gross matter and it reduces it to white ash, is what it literally means, to reduce to white ash. And this process is done by the application of heat, fire. I've made a post before. You can find it in my blogs. I haven't done a video on it, but there are different degrees of fire, and calcination uses and releases all of them. It's an extremely important step. But you have to know how to use these fires in order to successfully bring about, to initiate this. You can succeed in a calcination without being the one to consciously catalyze this process. Myself as an alchemist, I believe that these processes of alchemy are inherent within reality and are constantly going on through everybody's lives. But the process of practicing alchemy is to take these processes and become conscious of them and to guide them through your life so that you can bring yourself to a purposeful end and to redefine yourself as the entity that you were supposed to be rather than this entity that has been designed through action reaction experience within this reality, the exchange of energy between external stimuli and the internal mind, the reader, the consciousness. And so calcination, as I said, reduces the gross matter down into white ash using heat. From this, several more processes continue on, but from this white ash is extracted the salts, the mineral salts, which is akin to the alchemical philosophical principle of salt, which physically represents the body, or physically and spiritually represents the body. I don't know how to phrase that, but it is representative of the body. And so as I said, these processes are going on within our lives, whether we're conscious of them or not. And so I'd like to share a little bit about the first calcination I ever experienced. And I guess maybe not the first one I ever experienced, but the first major one that led me into this path that I am now. It was in early 2011, and I was in Virginia, and I was taking copious amounts of psychedelics. And it all really began when I took a month-long binge of eating basically nothing but mushrooms. I remember distinctly only eating 2 meals the entire, I think it was like 21 or 22 days. And those meals were not even like full meals. It was like I had a breakfast burrito, and then I had some scrambled eggs, both of which I put a large amount of mushrooms into. By the end of it, I was eating like half ounces and ounces at a time. I was eating ridiculous amounts of mushrooms. And then it moved into a like month-long LSD binge, and then I ended up taking like a gram of mescaline, just this really long, ridiculous binge of psychedelics. And mixed in that entire time, there was an alphabet soup of different research chemicals. Also different molecules that give you the whole empathogenic and entactogenic results, such as MDMA and MDA and PKMDMA, and all these different molecules, which, tidbit, that's what Molly means. So during this time, I was contacted by an entity, and I was selling drugs at the time, and I went from, very quickly, this is like during this, at the very beginning, I lost, first it started with me losing my place to stay. Then I lost my vehicle. Funny, the transmission went out. It was a good vehicle too. It was like, anyway, I ended up losing my girlfriend. She started dating someone I considered a brother, who at the same time was living at this fucking trap house that I was crashing on the couch of instead of having to sleep on the streets. And I went from having several $1,000s in cash, several $1,000s in the bank, and several $1,000s in product to several $1,000s in debt. I wasn't sure who was my friend and who wasn't. People started stealing from me and really taking advantage of me in just some of the worst ways that you can. And so this entity guided me through a bunch of experiences, showed me a bunch of things, taught me a bunch of lessons, taught me about magic. It taught me about this esoteric experience, this spiritual experience, and put it into these perspectives that really I had no grounding for. I come from a Christian family, Methodist practicing. Not so much are they anymore that I'm aware of, but when I was younger, I was confirmed into the church, and so I had no grounding for any of this stuff, any kind of magic or anything. To me, I was going crazy, I was very agnostic in my beliefs at the time. I'd been studying religion since I was like 8 or 9, maybe 10. And so, I knew that there's a possibility of other things being out there, but I wasn't really too sure. I never really delved too deep into esoteric studies, into occult studies, and to spiritual studies. And so I wasn't really aware of different entities and different archetypal energies and really what magic is and what magic does. And so I went crazy. I ended up trying to kill myself, and I ended up in a mental hospital for 15 days, during which they put me on so much fucking antipsychotics and anti-anxiety meds, and they just numbed the hell out of me, which sucked because then I was just having these crazy fucking visions and experiences while being numb and couldn't do anything about them, and could just like drool on myself and stare at this shit while it happened. And so I mean, it really, the antipsychotics I think really made it, some of them worse. But anyway, this process literally stripped me of everything I knew as to be as real as existence, and it stripped me of everything I had and could fall back on, and it brought me to a position of being at my bare bones. And then this entity came in and helped guide me and showed me that I was strong and that I was meant for better things than just doing drugs, making money, and getting fucked up. And so this entity led me hand in hand for a while, and then it just disappeared. It vanished for a while. And I really thought I was going crazy. So I stopped doing all drugs, went completely sober, and ended up coming across a book on alchemy by Saint Germain. Um, I think it's just called Studies in Alchemy by Saint Germain. And it began to really open up the door for what happened. And it began to show me that there's a lot more to this life than just what we see and what we experience as this physical reality. Kind of heavy story. But yeah, so I believe that's my initial calcination that was meant to lead me down this path of esoteric study. It was meant to strip me of everything that I knew, everything that I was, and burn down the gross matter into white ash, into the bone material, from which my soul was extracted and purified by this entity, which then left. Nowadays, you know, I can feel its presence, but I know it's not. Man, it was powerful, and it was helping. It was like boosting me and giving me so much strength from a point where I had none. I felt like I was worthless and fucking just. I couldn't eat very often. You know, first of all, I didn't have money to eat. It was difficult, but this thing, it really showed me that I could move forward, and I think that, you know, it was meant to either break me or to build me up, and it definitely built me up. So I know this is an experience that many people have gone through. I've talked to several people about this, and I talked to somebody just yesterday, really, about it, about their experience, and it was very brief what we talked about. You know, we were in between classes, so we didn't have a whole lot of time, but I look forward to hearing more about his experience and what he's learned from it, and I want to hear from y'all. If any of you have had this same or similar experience, and what it's led you to. Very interesting. I kind of ran this video a lot longer than I was expecting to. I've really got to jump off now, even though I have a lot more to say. Gotta make my lunch. Some breakfast. I love you guys. Thank you very much for listening to this story and to my understanding of the process of calcination. May you all have a beautiful day.